Alright, we're here to go ahead and replace the glass on the Samsung Galaxy Tab 2. It's a 7-inch tablet. You can definitely see that it's seen better days. It's got definitely a shattered screen here. This is the Verizon version of it, but I believe they're all roughly the same. The only difference is this has a SIM card slot. So we're going to use a couple different tools here. A couple pry tools. We'll need a Phillips screwdriver as well. What we're going to need to do is take a safe opening tool and basically run around the edge of this tablet. There's little clips that hold this down. It can be a little tricky. You need to get them to unsnap or clip from the back. The starting of it is the most difficult portion. I just actually broke that safe opening tool trying to do this. See if we can't find an easy access point. Normally down here by the charge port, it's a little bit easier to get access, a little more flexibility. So it's starting to pull apart for us. I want to show you exactly how tricky these are to get to pop open. Sometimes it can be a little trickier than other times. Sometimes they just come off super easy. So we're just going to put our tool in and wiggle it back and forth. Got one started. Let's try to slide our tool down the back now. Once you get the first start, it gets a little bit easier from there. Start around the side. Sometimes the corners can be a little bit tricky as well. You don't want to bust the snaps off or else you'll have to buy a new back or it won't seal very well. You hear it kind of flap and click whenever you hold it. See if you can get a little bit of extra pressure on it. Normally you can get a little bit of a pull on it. It'll help the snaps pop off just a little bit easier. There's one right in the corner that's really tricky. It's got to be patient. Try something a little bit thinner, this guitar pick. You can figure out exactly where the snap's at. If you push the guitar pick in, it'll help pop it off. The side just does not want to get started. We'll work on the other corner here real quick. This is probably the hardest one of these I've ever had to open before. This one just does not want to come apart. I'm going to pull my finger in and see if I can get a little extra force against it. Help the snap just pop off. work my way down the side. So once you get it started, it's a lot easier to go down. Just pop all the additional snaps off. Just slide your tool kind of inwards towards the back plastic. It'll pop right off. I'll be a little bit careful around the buttons. Start on this other corner, this being such a tricky portion of this back cover. See, that extra force against it seems to have worked out for us. Let's put this in to kind of hold it open. Try to work down this back side just a little bit more. Popped a couple of my tools. Try a little bit thicker tool here, now that we got it started. So one in the corner just does not want to pop off for me. There we go. That only took a long time. See, the corner is really the kind of the focus point. Once we got that done, all the rest of the sides are just popping off nice and easy. Just going to keep holding it apart as we go around. Work our way down to this next corner. See if we can find a pry tool that's not broken here. Trying to find the clip and push it against it, see if we can't get it to pop. There we go. Let's pop right out for us now. Once you get the corners, it seems like the rest is pretty easy. Truly the hardest part of this replacement is probably just the back portion, for me at least. There's a couple things you need to take off. You can see there's these connector cables right here. We're going to heat up the glass. Go ahead and pop that off. We have a battery connection here as well. So if you do need to replace your battery, really truly all you need to do that is to pull this battery connector up and undo the screws across the back. Use our screwdriver here. Let's go ahead and undo the screws that hold this down. Last one on this side, that's our third screw. Three more to go. This will be our fourth. That's our fifth screw. And here is our last and sixth. Go ahead and pull this up. Pops right out. There's no adhesive or anything on it. Just this screws in the connector. Go ahead and set that aside. We have a cable right here on the interior portion, which I believe is for the LCD itself. A few additional connectors here. Go ahead and pop this up. Now you want to make sure you keep track of where these screws come out, where the pieces come out of. I could draw myself a little diagram and put the screws back in there. So we have two screws that pull off this side here. I'll go ahead and just pop right off for us. Two additional screws holding this next piece down. So we're going to undo this wire antenna connection here. Pull that right out. Pop up these connections here for the logic board. Got a couple screws in the logic board that we're going to take out so we can remove it. Here's our third screw. Fifth. See if it'll pop out for us. See, it's starting to wiggle a little bit here. And pull up this connection here for the touch screen. Let's kind of wiggle our way around the board, see if we can't get everything to pull up. See if we haven't missed a connection somewhere. See anything that's still connected, go ahead and pull it off. I'm going to move this and it'll pull that board out for us. The goal to remove that is we have this ribbon cable here that attaches to the LCD to the back. Now, if you're just replacing the touchscreen, you may not even have to take the logic board out. I usually do just because I don't want to turn it over, heat it up, put my hand on the back of it, and possibly shock it or make it not function. I think it's just easier to remove it and then put it back together. We'll go ahead and get our heat gun here. Work our way around the outside. Now, I have a lot of comments of people asking me, can I use a hairdryer? I have never used a hairdryer to do this before, so I can't tell you yes or no. I've read comments of other people doing it and saying that it worked. I want to get it pretty warm to get this off. Really, I want to get it warm enough where it's almost as too hot to touch. The trick is with this, it's also plastic. The housing on here, the bezel around it is plastic, so you don't want to get it to the point where it's going to melt everything. You want it to, where it starts to get a little bit shiny. You want to be careful. I'm just going to work my way around the outside, touch it and see if it gets too hot. Keep working your way around the sides of it and get everything nice and warm. And try to use a guitar pick to help us pull this. If you're just removing the glass and it's still good, be careful of the ribbon cable connections. And end up using this metal pry tool. It's called an disassembly. It's definitely, if you work on a lot of devices, this is a lifesaver. This is probably one of the best pieces of repair equipment that I have. We just tipped it in down here at the bottom. We're just going to use our guitar pick to kind of work our way down. So you can sliding it slightly in. You can see the screen is really shattered, so it's going to be a little bit of a pain to get off completely. Now, the reason why I try not to use this disassembly tool, although it works really well, it being metal, it does damage the bezel if you're not very careful. It'll give you some dings. It's shattered that piece, but that's okay. Normally, if you have a hard time getting it off and it shatters like that, it's not hot enough. So we're just going to give it some more heat. Alright, put another pick in here. So we're just going to try to slide it down the side. If you can get underneath the adhesive tape that holds this down, it'll help you get underneath the pieces that are shattered. So what I'm doing is I'm sliding my guitar pick down and then I'm kind of pulling upwards on the adhesive that's underneath, and it's pulling up the shattered piece and letting me get my pry tool under it. If it doesn't let me, I try to use my disassembly just to give it a little bit of pry upwards so I can get the guitar pick in and underneath it. I'm just going to kind of wiggle it around back and forth. It's being a little bit tricky. There we go. Again, just wiggling my guitar pick down. Now, if this screen wasn't shattered and I was trying to save it, I would suggest using a suction cup to pull it off. Give yourself the lift that you're looking for. You can get a tile suction cup, Home Depot or any of the repair stores, flooring stores. They have a little lever on them that you can use to really get a good suction on it. Just gonna put this pick in there to make sure it doesn't re-adhere itself back to the frame. They use a really, really strong adhesive on this screen. Having a little bit of a problem getting past this next shatter piece. See if this will assist us. Let's work our way down. It does take a little bit of patience on this part. If you have a shattered screen like this, if yours isn't as bad, it will be a lot easier to get off than what this looks. This one's just really, really shattered, so every time there's a crack all the way to the edge, it's basically like you're lifting up a brand new piece of glass. It's getting a little bit cool, so we're going to go ahead and heat it back up. Alright, making it through the corner. Go ahead and start down this next side. There's a lot of points in this video where I could have fast forwarded it to make it shorter. And my goal is the reason why I don't do this, I want to show you what it's like to actually do it and how much time it'll actually take you to do it. So now that I got it nice and lifted, I'm definitely not trying to save this screen. So I'm just going to pull on it a little bit. Just going to pull this tape off. So be very careful not to let it slap back down on top of your LCD. You don't want to scratch it. So I'm just holding it forward. I would suggest using gloves to do this with a lot of little glass shards out there. You could get some glass slivers. I'm going to use this nice long spudger here. We're just going to push it down underneath the glass. Let's work our way down with our guitar pick as well. Make sure we get all the adhesive all the way down to the LCD pulled off. Just making sure that we don't let the glass re-adhere itself. So we'll put another kind of pry tool in here to hold it up. I need to heat it up again. Like I was saying, I could have fast forwarded a lot. The goal is that I want to show you exactly how long it takes, how hard it is, rather than just speed through it. So I hope that's helpful. Perfect. Making really good progress now that we got it nice and started here. Getting into the main kind of shatter point area. So we'll use our spudger again. Just be careful not to damage a camera or a speaker or anything that you might have underneath here. So there's our cable. I'm going to go ahead and heat this side up here. Then we can go ahead and fold it open like a book. Just going to get it nice and warm. That way the adhesive will just go ahead and pull off. Just being careful as we do this. Don't want to damage the LCD. You can see the adhesive just pulling right back off for us. So I'm going to try to separate it here. Just pull it away. The connector comes right out. Let's try to pull off as much of the adhesive in one piece as possible. You'll have to remove all this extra adhesive to make the screen sit down nice and flush. And I'll show you in the reassembly video of putting the new adhesive down and setting the screen. So now the glass is off. Now if you do have a broken LCD, what you can do is basically to replace it, you just need to pop it out of the back here. You have a cable that runs down the back side here as well. Pushing from the backside, being very careful, not using a lot of force. We'll go ahead and pull the cable up. It does have some adhesive on the back of it as well. Pull it away. If you have your new LCD, you just need to put it back in the exact same way. If it didn't come with a cable on the back of this, you just need to flip up the little black switch on the back side of it, pull the cable out, and then reinsert it in the new mid-frame or the new LCD. Perfect, there you go. That's the removal of the LCD and the glass. Also the battery and the logic board of the device. If you look in the description, you'll see a link for the reassembly if you want to go ahead and watch that. Watch me how to put it back together. As always, I appreciate you watching the video. If you found it helpful, hit the like button. Have any questions, throw them in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more device repairs in the future.